Garrison, members of the Steelworkers Union, Governor Bryant, Senator Smathers, Congressman Gibbons in this district, Danny Fascell and Claude Pepper from Dade County, myself from Palm Beach. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate the invitation to come here, and I'm very grateful to the steelworkers who have I've visited on many occasions. I appreciate the district director for organizing this meeting. I spoke the other day to the AFL-CIO National Convention in New York. I hope that as we look ahead to not just to 1964, but really to this decade, and we see something of the political debate which takes place in this state and in my own state of Massachusetts and in the United States, we see in some ways a repetition of the struggles of the 1930s. And it always has seemed to me that the best answer to those who oppose those measures which we advocate to try to provide greater prosperity to our country and provide jobs for our people and security for our older citizens and education for our children, I think the clearest answer to them is to contrast our experience from 1945 through till the coming year of 1965 to the 20-year period from 1919 to 1939. Now, if you just look at the extraordinary economic progress of this country, we've had difficult times, it's true, we've had recessions, but on the whole, this has been an extraordinary period of economic growth with productivity going up at the age of automation and all the rest. While I do not in any way downgrade the serious problems we still face, it has been a most extraordinary record of meeting our obligations here in the United States and meeting them around the world. Now, why did it happen? Well, it happened because I think of a lot of things, of a lot of leadership given in a lot of different places in the 20 years from 1945 to through to 65. But I think more than that, it happened because of what was done in the 1930s. From 1919 to 1929 to 1939, we went through the depression of the early 20s, an 11-year depression, and we wouldn't have gotten out of it perhaps till we had World War II, and you had extraordinary governmental spending which began to really prime the pump. You had depression on the farms of America. The fact is, though, in the 1930s, they were written into the statute books, legislation, and a philosophy of governmental action, which I think has provided us security from 1945 to 1965. Things don't happen, they're made to happen. And the reason why we can trace the clear contrast between those wasted years from 1919 to 1939 and these years of promise are due to what Franklin Roosevelt and what organized labor, what the Democratic Party, and what the people who believed in progress did in those years, which make it possible for us now to put our money in the bank and have it guaranteed, to buy our housing with a guaranteed mortgage, to belong to a union and find the union protecting our bargaining rights and our rights of being job rights, the Social Security system, the unemployment compensation system, the SEC, and all the rest. And it's because of this commitment to progress, which was made then and which was reinforced in the Employment Act of 1946, that we have made this extraordinary economic progress since then. And I take some pride in the fact that even in the last 3 years, we've made almost unique economic progress, even though we have to move tremendously fast just to stand still. I've said before that in the next 2.5 years in the United States, we have to find 10 million jobs to take care of those who are out of work now, those who will be thrown out of work because of machines, and those who are pouring into the labor market because of the baby boom right after the end of the Second World War. 10 million jobs in 2.5 years. We have had an extraordinary economic record in the last 3 years, and yet we still have an unemployment rate of 5.5%. Yet in this 36-month period, from January 61 to January 64, we will have a $100 billion increase in our gross national product. In the last 18 months, we've grown faster than they've grown almost any place in the world, faster than any country except 2 in Western Europe, which is almost unique record for us. Still, even to hold our own at 5.5%, even with this extraordinary economic record, we just have to run very fast to stand still. I think, however, we can take those measures in the Congress now and in the next year, provide for our tax cut, which can put nearly $40 billion of stimulation into our economy, and give us a chance to absorb these people who are going to be looking for jobs and to get our unemployment rate down to 5% and possibly below. And if we don't get it, we're going to be, as I said earlier this afternoon, by April of this year, we're going to have the longest peacetime expansion in the history of the United States. We had a recession in '58 and a recession in '60. And if we want to prevent a recession in '64 or '5, we need the stimulation that you can get from the tax cut, which is now before the Senate Finance Committee, which had already passed the House. What we can do there on urban renewal, on aid to education, on medical care for the aged, these programs, which are regarded as controversial now, as the programs which Franklin Roosevelt and the Democrats stood for in the '30s were regarded as controversial, can help lay the foundation for a decade of prosperity. And if we fail, if we cannot get the support from the Congress and the country and the people, then in my opinion we will drift, as we drifted in '58 and as we drifted in '60, into 2 recessions in a 27-month period. So that's what we're attempting to do, and we ask your help in doing it. Organized labor can look back on 30 years of supporting progressive causes, not only at home, which happen to benefit their members, but also around the world. The Alliance for Progress and all the others. The Marshall Plan, NATO, Point 4, all these efforts which were made by others in earlier time, the labor movement supported. They didn't immediately apply just to labor, they applied to the country. And we ask that kind of support today. This country faces many serious problems at home and abroad. But I think we've got a good deal to be thankful for. This is a rich country. We want those who come after us to have the same chance that those who came before us have had. We want them to live in a secure world. We want them to live in an America which is committed to progress. The steelworkers are, organized labor is. I believe, contrary to what we read in some papers, that a majority of the people of the United States are. I am, and I'm glad to be here today with you. I accept the nomination as Prime Minister. It's my understanding that there isn't any Congress, so we'll look forward to it. But if there was, we'd want Sam Gibbons and Danny Fascell, Claude, and George Smathers to be with me. Thank you very much.